Thank you so much. I wanted to kick things right off because we're so privileged to have with us this evening Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, as well as Congresswoman Judy Chu here, some of our strong allies in interfaith work and consistent partners and supporters. I wanted to start by introducing Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. As I mentioned, she's a longtime ally and has done a lot on countering anti-Semitism, is a strong friend of our organization, and represents Florida. And so, Congresswoman, if you'd like to come up and give your remarks, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, both to AMMWEC and Hadassah. I'm a proud honorary life member of Hadassah and have been involved with the organization for many, many years. And Anila, thank you so much for your remarkable leadership. If there were more, do you say AMMWEC, or do you do? If there were more, if there was more from AMMWEC and Hadassah, then we would have so much more unity and understanding. So I just am so glad. And when I saw this invitation, I leapt at the chance to be with you. And to our friends at AMMWEC, I wish you a Ramadan Kareem. It is really such an honor to be part of this Iftar and to stand alongside women leaders like my friend Judy Chu from Los Angeles, but across faiths and traditions, who dedicate themselves to peace and mutual understanding. And I've proudly worked and advocated alongside the American Muslim and Multi-Faith Women's Empowerment Council here in Congress over the years. And you should be proud of the work you do to promote Jewish-Muslim solidarity in this incredibly difficult moment. The October 7th atrocities and the Israel-Hamas war have been devastating for so many of us. Anti-Semitism is skyrocketing in the United States and around the world, and so are racist and Islamophobic attacks against people perceived or actually who are Arab or Muslim. Having spent much of my career in public service pushing back against bigotry, promoting education, and urging a peaceful political resolution to Middle East conflicts, it's been painful to see the pendulum swing so hard in the wrong direction. In the weeks following October 7th, I heard from many of my Jewish constituents who felt isolated. They were disheartened that other marginalized communities for whom they had mobilized hadn't reciprocated that support. I'm sure that's a feeling that many of us can relate to together, and it makes it more important than ever to build strong interfaith coalitions that bridge these gaps, which is why we're all committed to being here together tonight. From social media algorithms to extremist demagogues, there are countless forces that seek to divide us. To capitalize on our righteous anger over injustice, to focus a spotlight on our differences, and we cannot allow them to succeed, not here in the US and not anywhere. I'm proud to use my platform in Congress to fight for two simple truths. Women are strong enough to change the world, and we are stronger when we work together. And I'm working to stop anti-Semitism and all manifestations of hate. That means fully funding the Office for Civil Rights at the Department of Education to protect students, all students, from discrimination. It means restoring nonprofit security grants that protect synagogues, mosques, churches, and other religious and cultural centers. It means preventing and prosecuting hate crimes and crimes against humanity. And it means standing up for women's groups around the world who reject division and share the equal goals of peace and coexistence. As a co-chair of the Abraham Accords Caucus, I hope to incorporate your perspectives on multi-faith collaboration in my goal of building a broader peace in the Middle East. Normalization, cooperation, and engagement are crucial steps to promote this vision. By defending foreign assistance and reauthorizing programs like the Middle East Partnership for Peace Act, or MIPA, which brings together Israeli and Palestinian civil society, we can bring this hope to reality. Whether it's standing up for Israeli women and girls who suffered unimaginable violence on October 7th and as Hamas hostages, or amplifying women-led movements in Iran and Pakistan, demanding respect for human rights, I'm glad to have AMMWEC and each of you in my corner. Thank you so much, and Ramadan Mubarak.
On behalf of AMMWEC, we wanted to have our founder and president, Anila Ali, explain what these are.
need a microphone, I would like to share a book that my father wrote in the 1980s in England, when there was a lot of racism, bigotry against Muslims, and he said, the pen is mightier than the sword, and the Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him, he was the first interfaith leader of Muslims, because he sent his people to the Christian king in Abyssinia for refuge, and then he migrated to the Jewish tribes in Medina, and that is where the Islamic calendar begins. And so that is my father and my family's legacy. I wanted to share that with the Congresswoman and all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Congresswoman. It is now my pleasure to introduce another inspirational figure for us and a strong ally in our community. I have to remark that especially for AMMWEC, where we have so many networks in South Asia, and we work so much with women, business leaders, faith leaders, community leaders, Congresswoman Chu's track record on supporting female-owned businesses, and so many of her initiatives are much appreciated for us, as well as for her work on countering all forms of hate. And so without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Congresswoman Judy Chu.
Well, hello and Ramadan Mubarak. I'm thrilled to be here with my fellow Congress member, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and to be with all of you for this happy and blessed Ramadan. And I am a huge admirer of the American Muslim and Multi-Faith Women Empowerment Council. Let me say that you are doing such incredible work to empower women to be leaders in combating extremism and in helping girls that are in countries like Pakistan be able to get equal education. And I very much admire your ability to promote interfaith understanding by having so much dialogue between different religious communities. But I especially am admiring your ability to combat hate and bigotry, whether it be Islamophobia or anti-Semitism. You focus on both, and that brings so many together. So thank you for doing that. This is an incredible time for us, and that's why it's so great to have this Ramadan, which is celebrated by millions of Muslims here in the U.S. and around the world. This is a holy month of reflection, charity, and spirituality, and it's also the opportunity to celebrate with our community through Iftar dinners like this one. And in my district in Southern California, where diversity has always been our source of strength, I always look forward to Iftar dinners because of the way the entire community comes together. No matter the difficulties that we've experienced in the past year, this Iftar is certainly an example of the interfaith community coming together to celebrate our diversity and our common values. So as we reflect on this past year, this Ramadan, and gather with families and friends, let us give thanks, let us recommit ourselves to charity and the service of others, and let us do so in community and in allyship with other groups, organizations, and interfaith alliances across the country that are dedicated to building an America where diversity in all its forms is celebrated. Again, Ramadan Mubarak.
Congresswoman, I have a book for you, and I may have given it to you many times because we have been friends for so long. So I want to present this book as a token of our friendship and your support for the Muslim community and overall the faith community. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, and this is the one on Pakistan.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support of all the things that we do in Pakistan.
Oh, I know.
Christian persecution.
Yeah, well, that, of course, that's right.
You were there, and I really thank you for doing that for us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What a lovely kickoff to our Interfaith Iftar dinner. So for those who just came in the room, I'll do my little mini introduction again, but we're very pleased to gather with our friends and allies this evening in the Jewish, Muslim, Christian, multi-faith community together. So to start our evening, I wanted to welcome our president and founder, Ms. Anila Ali, to give some brief remarks about AMMWEC, our hopes for the coming year, and some Ramadan wishes.
Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon, shalom, and thank you to Congresswomen, Congresswomen, and our friends who are here from different embassies, all of you, and my friends at AMMWEC. I was going to speak from the heart, but I decided to write something. I think it's so important for us to get together and to have more events like this. To strengthen what we have. And when I came here in 1997, I loved being an American because I was just, nobody asked me where I come from, who I am, and I was just allowed to be that free person that I wanted to be. And together, we're going to build that America back. We may have, speed breakers in our way, but we're gonna get over it. So, it's an honor to gather with you at this beautiful Capitol Hill that we love so much, and to have this meal, Iftar. We as Muslims are supposed to share it with people of all faiths and welcome them. So we, with our partners, Hadassah, are happy to do that once again. And I want to share a little bit about what Islam teaches us. Islam teaches us the importance of fasting in Ramadan. And Allah says in the Quran, very clearly, that fasting has been prescribed to you as it was prescribed to the people before you. And who are the people before us? It's the Jews, it's the Christians, it's the Sabians, and all those people who fast, the people of God. And we often forget and we say, it's fasting and it's Ramadan. I do remember the time there was Lent and there was fasting in different religions that we used to enjoy. I think we need to bring back that tradition. And I think that is the way that we are going to be able to bridge the divides that we see. We share more of our culture, more of our traditions and faith. But as we break our fast today, I want to take a moment and reflect on the power of solidarity. When we get together as women, there is no force that can take us down, no matter who we are. I know that from my own life. Congresswoman Judy Chu talks about the girls. Well, that was a Muslim-Jewish venture in Pakistan. And it was so beautiful that my Jewish friends came to me after the big attack in Pakistan on the girls, on the children's school. And they said, Anila, can we help you? Can we do something? Can we educate girls? And, I was a teacher, very busy raising my kids, a Californian, and you can get lost in California. And I said, yes, I could. And then it was Congressman Ed Royce at that time. He was the head of the USAID and the chairman. And he said, you've got to go to Pakistan. And that was me and my Jewish friend who went to Pakistan. And we didn't ask each other, who's Muslim, who's Christian, who's Hindu. We brought kids back to school who were not allowed to go. In these villages in Pakistan, they were Hindus, they were Christians, they were Buddhists, and they came back to school. Why? Because a Muslim woman and a Jewish woman got together. That is the power of what we as American, Muslim, Jewish women can do. And I hope that today is going to be the beginning of perhaps another collaboration. And even today, my Jewish sister, she supports 10 schools in Pakistan. And imagine that she went to a beautiful village, remote village, where they did not have a school for 2,000 years. Imagine that. It's an indigenous community. And she went to the mosque and she asked them, I'm Jewish. And is it okay if I give you carpet? If I give you this? And he said, well, of course, you are Ahle Kitab. You are people of the book. Because she said, I never want them to say, this American woman came from Newport Beach, California. I want them to know who I am. And even today, as her husband lies sick in Europe, those children are sending pictures and videos and telling them how much they love them. Dr. Hector, are you okay? We are praying for you in Ramadan. That's the world that we can build. And we can do it as American women. So I urge you all to join these kind of collaborations. And of course, AMMWEC and Hadassah and Congresswoman helped us. We are all going to bridge these divides that we see today through love and through collaboration and through service to each other and our children across the world. So thank you for joining us. You'll hear a little bit more from me later, but off to Julie.
Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce one of several ladies that have been incredible allies and much appreciated friends to our organization. As I mentioned, Hadassah, the Women's Zionist Organization of America, is one of our co-sponsoring organizations for the evening, and we're very honored to be able to hear from their national president, Ms. Carol Ann Schwartz. Carol Ann, welcome.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction. I am so honored to be here this evening. This is my first interfaith Iftar, and this is amazing. And to be able to me, this is a celebration that we're here and we rejoice in each other's faiths and each other's beliefs, and we learn and we support each other. And just as you shared, you went with your friend and you said, okay, let's go and let's do and let's make a difference. And that's what we do. And that's what we did a year ago. I'm inspired by everyone's organization. And we're unique in that. We're passionate volunteers. We're active at every level across the organization. We work to foster women's leadership. We empower Jewish and Zionist women and others to embrace their values, affect change. We advocate to expand support for the U.S.-Israel relationship, including U.S.-Israel medical partnerships, combat anti-Semitism, champion women's and public health. We own 2 world-renowned hospitals in Jerusalem, operated under the name of Hadassah Medical Organization. They conduct cutting-edge medical research. We provide life-saving care to more than 1 million patients every single year, regardless of race, nationality, or religion. Our staff and patient populations are comprised of many ethnic and religious groups. And that's why in 2005, Hadassah Hospitals earned a Nobel Peace Prize nomination because we build bridges to peace through medicine. Hadassah also sponsors youth villages where young immigrants and at-risk Israelis receive a full spectrum of care, shelter, food, counseling, education, and other supportive services to help them become productive members of Israeli society. Everything we as women think about. About a year ago, I had the great fortune of meeting the amazing Anila Ali at a screening of Screams Before Silence. Sheryl Sandberg invited a number of us to view the premiere showing of her documentary, highlighting the brutal, systematic weaponization of rape by Hamas on and after October the 7th. We sat there, we watched the film, we were horrified about the awful events, but we were both moved to action. We were both moved to say, we must do something. And we were both moved to each other to partner together to say, we need to do something together, to bring our communities together, to have a viewing of this film so that our members and our friends can view this together and see this and discuss this powerful film about a global problem of sexual violence and conflict. While yes, the Israeli women are facing this today, this is occurring around the world, and this is a global issue. And Anila shared how this is truly a global issue with the audience. And we did that. We hosted a screening, and we discussed the film in New York to build understanding, to demand justice for women around the world who are experiencing gender-based violence. Joining together across faiths to lift each other up, to share commonalities is so powerful, and it's personal. In my personal experience, I think back 14 years ago when my son made Aliyah. He moved to Israel. He stayed with his host family, an amazing Christian couple. They host a whole group of young soldiers whose parents live in the United States or other countries. They host them for every Shabbos. They host them for every Jewish holiday. And when I would travel there, or my husband would travel there, we would buy cases of wine. Because they didn't need any food, they didn't need anything else, but we knew cases of wine were always welcome. And they had a nonprofit, so I donated to the nonprofit. Because as a mother, I knew my son had an amazing community that was watching out for him. And as we gather here tonight to observe Ramadan and break the fast together, I reflect back on the Yom Kippur service that I love fasting. I love it every year. And I love staying in my synagogue. I belong to the same synagogue I grew up in, and my children go. And during part of the service where you pray, it's called the Yizkor service, and you honor the memory of your parents. And you say in that prayer, may I do good deeds to honor the memory of my mother. May I do good deeds to honor the memory of my father. And every year when I sit, I'm like ready to cry. When I say that prayer, I think, what am I going to do this year that I haven't done, that I'm going to honor them even more? And I thought to myself this year, this past, what can I do even more with Anila that I haven't done? Because I know how powerful it is. So when this opportunity came up, and Elizabeth was sharing it with me, I thought, how perfect would this be to expand this partnership even more? And how proud my parents would be that we were expanding this even more. So I honor my parents, and I thank you for enabling me to do that. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of you for enabling me to do that. And I'm happy now, as I stand here holding back the tears, to introduce our new CEO, who I am so honored to have as a partner, who comes to Hadassah from Yeshiva University with a wealth of experience in Jewish communal work, philanthropy, and institutional advancement, Ellen Finkelstein.
So thank you so much, and Ramadan Mubarak for everyone celebrating. I am really so privileged and proud to be here with you tonight. And although we haven't met before tonight, your reputation is beautiful and stellar. And I was really excited to come here to meet with you and hopefully to start a partnership together. This is not my first celebration with the Muslim community. I am proud to have brought my children up in a community at home in North Jersey, where there is both a large Jewish population and a large Muslim population that have been living together side by side for many, many years. I've celebrated with them in the mosque. They've been to our synagogues, they join us for holidays, and it was a unique and special place to raise my family. Carol Ann shared a little bit about Hadassah Hospital, and I have to tell you, I've been the CEO now for a little over 2 months. When I came to Hadassah, we have a broad mission, and we do own 2 hospitals in Israel. We own 2 youth villages that we run. We advocate here with the help of Elizabeth Cullen on behalf of women and children in women's health care, fighting anti-Semitism, promoting Zionism. It's a very broad mission. And as the new CEO, I was having a hard time getting my head around it. How do I explain it to people? How do I encapsulate it in a conversation? Because it's disparate. I went on a trip to Israel a month into my tenure as CEO. I went for a conference. I was very excited for a very exciting agenda. We were meeting the president, and we were hearing from Prime Minister Netanyahu and traveling all over the country. And as luck would have it, I became ill, and I became an inpatient at Hadassah Hospital. I missed the whole conference. But as they say, man plans and God laughs. That it wasn't the trip I had planned, but it was the trip that I needed. And what happened to me happened in my very first hours at Hadassah Hospital. I was in the emergency room, which I was being treated by the head of emergency medicine. If you get sick in Israel, being the CEO of a medical organization is not a bad thing. I was treated very well and ushered into the hospital. The head of emergency medicine in our hospital, his name is Ahmed. He is a Muslim doctor. He's the youngest doctor in Israel to run an emergency room. Fantastic. He was working side by side with religious Jewish women with head coverings and skirts over their scrubs. In came someone to do an EKG wearing a cross. My charge nurse on the floor had just gotten out of the IDF. He was a secular Israeli covered in tattoos. There were women in hijabs, there were men in yarmulkes, and the patient population reflected our staff. And so many of them heard I was there, and they came to introduce themselves and talk to me about their experience with Hadassah, many about the gratitude they had. I met a young Arab doctor who's a cardiologist now, who was treated in the hospital at 16 years old and was so inspired that she wanted to become a doctor. And she told me she was the first woman in her family to go to college and have a profession. I met with nursing students who also never dreamed that they would have this opportunity, but went through the nursing programs associated with Hadassah. I talked to our head of our nursing, who told us about programs where they're training Ethiopian women to go into health professions because it will give them a career and be able to elevate their family situation. And I was listening to all of this, and all of a sudden I got it. And I understood that supporting Hadassah was fighting anti-Semitism. Supporting Hadassah was promoting women. It was promoting Zionism. It was doing all of those things through the work that we did, and I understood it on such a deep level that I left the hospital feeling inspired. And I came home and everyone said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I heard about your trip." And I said, "No, it was fantastic." And I spent it with an IV in my arm, but it was still great because I developed this unbelievable appreciation. I just spoke to somebody who just came back from a trip in Israel, and I asked him if he felt safe. And for those of you who haven't been to Israel, we can't explain the community there until you experience it for yourself. And ironically, the hatred we feel in America because of what people perceive is an experience in Israel is all fallacy. It's hard for us to explain that to people and to get our message across. I'll share with you, I've had the privilege in the last 2 weeks of speaking on behalf of Hadassah. Last week at a UN-affiliated panel on anti-Semitism, where I presented the findings of a survey that Hadassah did last year, where they interviewed 1,000 Jewish women across the country about the anti-Semitism they're experiencing right now. And the stories are frightening, and they have to be told. Other organizations are collecting the statistics of how many incidents, but Hadassah wants to tell the stories so that people understand and appreciate what's happening in America right now. But I'll share with you the best stories that come from it are the stories of people who said, "My neighbor who's not Jewish came to me to check in and see if I was okay. My Muslim friends are checking in with me and we're discussing the problems that they're feeling in their own homes." And it's this allyship that is healing America. It's this allyship in these communities that are really going to get us through what appears to be the worst of times. So I thank you so much for including us and working with us, for your friendship and your allyship.
Thank you so much. I'd like to now introduce a very special member of our team to give a little introduction, a little interjectory presentation, if you will, on what is Ramadan. We don't want to assume that everyone is familiar with the traditions and what we do during the season of Ramadan. And then following that, we'll hear from a couple of our board members at AMMWEC, and as well as from some of our diplomats. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ms. Myra Zamir Syed, who's going to introduce to us what is Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening everyone. My name is Myra Zamir. I'm an executive board member with AMMWEC and also a young professional at the World Bank. I'm really honored to be here as we gather here to celebrate the spirit of Ramadan. This month is time of faith, reflection and unity, bringing us closer to our values, our commitments and to one another. And Ramadan is more than just a time of fasting. It is a journey of self-discipline, generosity and gratitude. It reminds us to pause, reflect, and embrace the deeper meaning of compassion and kindness in our daily lives. So what is Ramadan? For those who may not be familiar, Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar and is considered the holiest month for Muslims. It's the month in which the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and it is observed by fasting from dawn to dusk. Fasting is one of the 5 pillars of Islam and serves as a way to develop patience, self-restraint, and mindfulness. It is a time for spiritual reflection, extra prayers, and acts of kindness. So when is Ramadan? Ramadan is it is in the 9th month, and every year the calendar moves 11 days ahead. So this year in 2025, Ramadan began on March 1st and will end on March 29th or 30th based on the moon. And at the beginning of Ramadan, all Muslims greet with each other Ramadan Mubarak or Ramadan Kareem. So what does a typical day in Ramadan look like? A typical day begins with suhoor, the pre-dawn meal, followed by a morning prayer called Fajr. And throughout the day, Muslims abstain from food, drink, and other physical needs until sunset, when they break the fast with Iftar, as we're going to do tonight. And Iftar is often a time for family, friends, and community to come together, sharing in the blessings of the day. And in the evening, special prayers called Tarawih are performed, allowing for deeper spiritual connection. So this is a small video that I wanted to show courtesy of TRT World, because every country, Muslim country, has their own tradition for Islam. So I want to play this. I hope I can play this.
We'll improvise. Sorry about that.
The arrival of Ramadan marks a month of fasting, spiritual purification and prayer for Muslims all around the world. In addition to the rituals that include long communal prayers and iftar, Muslims also observe some traditions that are specific to the month and that vary from place to place. Here is a look at some Ramadan traditions from around the world. The holy month also brings unique Ramadan-specific dishes to the menus in several countries, like the Ramadan pide, a traditional baked flatbread in Turkey with a handmade crisscross pattern that makes it unique. Similarly, penny, a kind of vermicelli that is fried and served in milk, is a popular traditional dish served for suhoor in Pakistan. Fanus, or the Ramadan lanterns, are brightly colored lamps that are known for their distinct designs. The lamps have become symbols of Ramadan in Egypt and are also popular in several other countries like Jordan and Palestine, where they light up streets and homes during Ramadan. Drummers in Turkey beat their drums with melodic poetry to wake Muslims for sahur. This tradition dates back to the Ottoman era, and drummers try to keep the tradition alive. Ramadan drummers are also popular in other Muslim countries. The Hajj al-Layla tradition is observed in the UAE 15 days prior to the start of Ramadan. Children dressed in traditional clothing venture out onto the streets and roam their neighborhoods collecting sweets and singing songs. The sighting of the new moon of Shawwal marks the end of Ramadan and the arrival of Eid al-Fitr. The last Eid of Ramadan, also known as Chand Raat or Night of the Moon, is celebrated with festivities on the streets of India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. After the final iftar, women and girls flock to the local markets to buy colorful bangles and to paint their hands and feet with henna designs.
Thank you for your patience, everyone. So what are the goals of fasting? So there is this verse in Quran which translates into, "O you who believe, observing a Sawm," which means the fast, "is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, that you may become more righteous." So fasting is just not in Islam, but also in different cultures, and it does bring us together. And it's just not about fasting. It's a time for renewal. It strengthens our connection with God. and we engage in self-reflection and personal growth. We develop gratitude for what we have, and we foster empathy for those who are in need. It also increases our generosity because Muslims do a lot of charity around this time in terms of zakat and the zakatul fitr, which is by the end of Ramadan, you do charity to those who are in need. And the goal is to come out of Ramadan as better individuals, carrying these lessons forward in our lives. And following the Ramadan, right after the last day of fasting comes Eid al-Fitr, and that is the celebration for us. It's the festival of breaking the fast. It is the time of joy marked by special prayers, gift giving, and gatherings with loved ones. It is also time to give those in need, ensuring everyone can celebrate the blessed occasion. As we approach the end of Ramadan, I encourage all of us to take its lessons with us, not just during this month, but in every aspect of our lives. Ramadan Kareem and Eid Mubarak. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's now my pleasure to introduce a few of our AMMWEC board members to give some very brief remarks and introductions to the type of work that they're doing in interfaith partnerships in their communities. So I'd like to start with Ms. Farhana, who runs her own organization called Nabaf, which I'll let her tell you a little bit about, but we're very honored to have her as a member of our board and someone who's an incredible leader in the Bangladeshi community and beyond.
Good evening and Ramadan Mubarak to all. Thank you for being here with us today. My name is Farhana Khurshid. I'm the executive board member for AMMWEC and also the executive director of my foundation, New England Bangladeshi American Foundation in Massachusetts. NIVAF serves the Bangladeshi and Southeast Asian community. We are the only foundation working with New England grassroots South Asian immigrant communities, providing resources and crucial support for their survival in their newfound home. I also serve on the steering committee of Sahili Boston, which works to address domestic violence against women in Massachusetts. Today I stand before you disheartened. I want to bring out a topic that has been disturbing me since October 7th. What has happened to the Israeli woman? I have worked over 2 decades to empower women, build community, working as a family support and interpreter. I understood that to build a strong community of women, you can only advocate for your people. It's all women or nothing. Women's strengths rely on the support they receive from people around them. And we have failed. We failed our Israeli sisters. We cannot be biased about which women we choose to shield until we fully adopt the concept that we have to unite as one. It won't be easy to move forward with women's rights, which are also human rights. As Maya Angelou inequitably said, prepare yourself to be a rainbow in someone else's cloud. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd next like to invite another dear member of our team, Ms. Zibonessa Zubair, Ziba as we call her, to share a little bit about her work as a peacemaker with AMMWEC. Ziba, come on up.
Thank you, Julie. Hello, Assalamu alaikum, and Shalom, Namaskar to everyone. I met Anila Ali 15 years ago, and she inspired me. I was looking for a leader like her. And I'm very happy today to hosting a Iftar, which have a long legacy doing interfaith Iftar in California. So I want to today share a little bit about what exactly AMMWEC does. We are the first Muslim women civil rights organization in the USA. We mostly do empowerment, women empowerment. We empower Muslim women to become responsible leaders. By mentorship, we provide them fellowship, internship, and career with the government. We build bridges between the interfaith community and government, like interfaith Iftar, what we are doing to them, and we have been doing long time, and different corner of the country. Town Hall on Hate, celebrating multicultural holidays to unite diverse community together to educate others. One of our another very important part is we promote religious freedom and women, peace and security in the United States and all over the world. We are the first organization started international religious freedom roundtable in Pakistan and Bangladesh. We are the only civil rights organization signed the Abraham Accord Declaration, and year of 2022, we led the first Muslim official delegation to the State of Israel. We recognize the importance of maintaining and strengthening the peace in the Middle East and around the world based on mutual understanding and coexistence, as well as respect of human dignity and freedom, including religious freedom. So we are here all peacemakers. So that which is very important now these days, whether it's the nation and worldwide. Happy Ramadan to all and Eid Mubarak. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
God bless America.
And finally, another very inspirational member of our team, Ms. Soraya Dean, who also leads the Muslim Speakers Bureau, to talk a little bit about her work and experiences.
Thank you, Julie. They say prayer is the relationship you have with God, and fasting is the submission to God. And in that spirit, it is so heartening to be here in this room. I am so moved by what you said, Ellen, the story of the Muslim-Arab doctor treating you. In my community, we need to hear those stories. After October 7th, Anila led a delegation, and we came and told many stories. We are the witnesses. Count on us. Help us and support us take those stories. I want to very clearly acknowledge Anila this evening. If there's one woman who has done for the cause of fighting anti-Semitism, who has done the greatest, that would be my friend and colleague Anila. Please give her a... I wouldn't be here if not for her. I live in Los Angeles. I have my home, my husband, my son, my dog. When she called and she said, Soraya, we need to collaborate. The times are very grave. Our silence is not going to save us. And as we heard many times in this room, what was said was that when women come together, we have strength. We heard that when women come together, we are indomitable. And I bring that little picture to what Anila said and what Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman said. When we women are given a mic and we raise our voices, we are powerful. So on behalf of the American Muslim Multi-Faith Women's Empowerment Council, I run the Muslim Women Speakers Bureau. We have 30 speakers. Our speakers need to be heard. And we want to travel. We just came from New Jersey yesterday, 2 a.m. We were on a 3-day speaking tour. We spoke at synagogues, we spoke at the JCC, we spoke at homes. And 2 stories I must leave you with. A woman who was in the synagogue, she came to me after I spoke. She said, you are telling we need to do something. Help us do it. And I said to her, bring together 10 Jewish women. If you can bring Muslim women and Christian women, then give me a call. We'll collaborate. We will share and we will find out what your community needs and we'll build something from the grassroots up. That's a huge win for us. And then my friend, our friend Andrew Eisner, whom we met 6 months ago when we spoke at the Jewish Federation in northern New Jersey, we stayed in touch. And together we collaborated to organize all the speaking events that we did. And I said to Andrew, you have to also step up. You are the leader in your community. So based on that conversation we had, Andrew hosted 35 people in his home that evening. We were there on Saturday. There were Jewish community members who were neighbors who never spoke to each other. Not that they decided not to speak, it's just that their paths didn't cross. So this is the kind of work we are doing. We are not seated in boardrooms. We are not seated in high offices. We are on the ground with the grassroots because we believe that is where change will come from. And yes, it's just, I'm just so excited that what you said is happening in Israel. We are